Hello, hello. How are you tonight? Hi, Peggy. Hope you all are doing well. Come in. Whatever is everyone doing tonight? I think everybody is busy. Anyway, come on in. We will see what happens tonight. Yep. Hi, Linda and Tim. Good to see you. Hi, Rhonda. How are you doing, Miss Rhonda? Hope you're doing okay. Hanging in there, huh? How's Tim tonight? I hope Tim is doing well. I really do. Hope he's doing well. So, it is Monday again. Yeah. Monday. Yes, doing well. Thank you. Hi, Tori. Tim as well. Oh, good. That's good. I always enjoy seeing pardon me. Oh, goodness. Oh. I always enjoy seeing Tim's gardening projects. I think that's really neat that he's interested in gardening. Elton loves to garden, and I enjoy it too, but Elton loves it. He loves two things about gardening. He loves planting and he loves harvesting. The part in the middle, not so much. Not so much. Which is funny. Anyway, so I thought I would read you while we're waiting for everybody else to get here. Read the rest of the Life in the Sloth Lane. It's the cutest little book. So I thought we'd read the rest of this and then we'll do something. How about that? So this is Great Achievements Take Time. Sloths are exceptional when it comes to digestion, capable of eating toxic leaves that would make other animals sick. Their secret weapon is a large stomach and a lot of time. It can take an entire month for sloths to digest a single leaf. If the process went faster, they would poison themselves. Isn't that funny? You better slow down. I love their faces. They always look like they're smiling at you. Very coarse hair. Or fur, or whatever it is. Anyway, a good laugh and a long sleep are the two best cures for anything. I think that there's some truth to that. Hey, Yoli from Phoenix. Thanks for coming to be with us tonight. Same to you. He's actually eating a variety of veggies since he started his garden. Oh, that's cool. Hey, Joyce Boring. Hello. Next, imperturbable. That is a tough word. Imperturbable, resolute, tree-like, slow to speak. Such a one is near to goodness. Confucius. That figures that Confucius would use a word like that. Doesn't it? It's okay to stand out. Sloths are a sentinel species. This means that on a macro level, their performance in the rainforest environment is indicative of the well-being of the entire ecosystem. That's interesting. And it's okay to blend in. On a micro level, sloths are an ecosystem unto themselves. They host moths and other insect species that can be found nowhere else, and their fur is covered in algae, which provides protective camouflage. Whoever is happy will make others happy too. That's true. That is true. one of the things I was telling you guys about this last week sometime. Hey, Ruth Edwards. Hi, Terry. About Elton and his smile, that his teacher told him that he needed to smile. He never forgot it, and he smiles to this day, and his smile is so infectious. When he smiles, he smiles at everybody. If that man is not smiling, there is something terribly wrong. But it is so contagious, and people can be cranky and not happy coming into his office, and they don't have much choice but to smile. I think that's a great trait. That's a great contagion to have. It is a mistake to look too far ahead. Only one link of the chain of destiny can be handled at a time. Well, that's true. The universe is full of magical things patiently waiting for our wits to grow sharper. That'll make you think. Look at that little thing. Hiding under a chair or something. Hug it out. Baby sloths are born to hug so they can hang on tight to mom high up in the trees for the first 6 to 9 months of their lives. They'll cling to anything, branches, arms, even stuffed animals. Adults become the ultimate tree huggers, embracing the natural rhythms of their forest home. Some journeys in life can only be traveled alone. Well, that's pretty true, too. It's enough for me to be sure that you and I exist at this moment. Okay? Some profound things are, kind of, never mind. It is hard work and great art to make life not so serious. Well, that is true, too. It's hard work and great art to make life not so serious. Uniqueness is an advantage. Funny how you read words and you get them wrong. Sloths are unique in many ways. They have hooks for hands, which may seem awkward, but it's one of the secrets to a slow lifestyle. Hooks enable sloths to hang from a tree like a hairy hammock and spend very little energy. So they're also handy for scratching remote itches. I bet they have to be a little careful with that, with those hooks. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Okay, T.S. Eliot, that was kind of deep. You're only here for a short visit. Don't hurry, don't worry, and be sure to smell the flowers along the way. Their faces seem so tiny based on how big they look with all of their fur, don't they? Life isn't as serious as the mind makes it out to be. Eckhart Tolle. Sleep is sacred. No joke. All you have to know about sleep being sacred is when you can't sleep. Then you do about anything to get it. Two-toed sloths are almost exclusively nocturnal. They sleep all day long, high up in the trees, and spend their nights eating under the cover of darkness. On the other hand, three-toed sloths don't care whether it's day or night. They nap and snack around the clock. Wisely and slow, they stumble that run fast. Okay, Shakespeare. Life has taught us that love does not consist in gazing at each other, but in looking outward, together in the same direction. Okay, and that's it. That was it. Why are sloths always smiling? Perhaps it's because they've mastered the art of taking it slow in a world whose frenzied pace is driving the rest of us crazy. Here, in a mindfulness book like no other, heart-tuggingly cute photographs of those always chill creatures are paired with words of wisdom, all to inspire us to slow down, stop, to enjoy the little things and come up relaxed, centered, and smiling. Cute little book. It's a good book to read every so often, you know? Rhonda says they kind of creep her out. They have a certain oddness about them, don't they? Let's see. Hey, Ruth Edwards. Hi, Dorothy. You have that book now, too? Oh, that's funny. They kind of creep Rhonda out. So last Friday. Trying to think what day it is today. I'm telling you, I haven't done a whole lot today, which is kind of good. But we did enough over the weekend for 5 people. Or 5 days, I do think. Anyway, on Friday, we did, we finished some Goofy Relatives on Friday, and so I thought I would just show you the ones that I had once I finished them into cards. And you think it's the face that makes you a little crazy. I understand. So this guy he's facing the kind of the wrong direction. It would be better if he was facing toward the opening of the card. But I think once I put a sentiment or something on here, I think it'll be okay. Anyway, there is this guy. I like the way he turned out, actually. Hey, Connie Kane, good to see you. This one is just a silly guy. He's just plain flat silly. Looks like he has a helmet on his head. I don't know. This isn't my best work, but I think when he has something funny to say or a snarky comment or something, I think he'll be pretty funny. Now, why are you not sticking on there? I must not have stuck it down very well. Are these not sticking? I wonder why these are not sticking very well. That is score tape, and it's not sticking very well. I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to have to go back and reinforce those with some glue. Well, everybody loves to do that, don't they? Anyway, okay, here's this guy. He turned out pretty well. It makes a difference once you ink the edges and you stick them on the card base, colored card base. I think that's what really finishes them off. And this one, I do like the way he looks. I think it's a he. I don't know. I just was tickled with the way these turned out. Okay, this guy needs a little help on the eyeball area. Sometimes you get the sparkle dots a little too big, and then that tends to make the eye look kind of blind, so you kind of have to skinny him up a little bit, and I may still have to work on it a little bit more, but other than that, he's looking okay. I like his turtleneck. And this guy, I do like his sweater. It's fun to go back and look at him after a couple of days of not looking at him and then go, yeah, I like this, I like that, you know. This could be better, that could be better. They're just goofy relatives, you know. Hey, Starla. They did turn out really well. This one looks truly like he has got something. I think he's got something under his hat, don't you think? I really think he might have something hiding under his hat. I don't know what, but I think he's got something under there. He's funny. I like his earrings. And then this guy, I still think he's just an elf. I think he really is an elf. Well, there's that guy. I don't know what. I really got a little carried away with the sparkle dots this time. Sometimes you have to go back and kind of touch them up a little bit. Okay, that's better. All right, where was the other one with the... Oh, here's the other guy with the earrings in both ears. Anyway, there they are. So, as I said, the background color of the card makes a big difference. Inking around them really helps them. And then whatever color of card base you choose to put under them just makes a big difference. So they're ready for some kind of word or phrase or something or quote or what have you, and then they're ready to send out. So that was fun. And although this one kind of looks like a Santa hat, the rest of them could just be winter, cold weather cards. I've never done those like that, like this before, so that was fun. It was fun to do. I really like that guy. Anyway, there you go. So if you, it's a great way to make a bunch of cards. So that was 2, 4, 6, that was 8 that I did just from scraps of watercolor paper. So they're funny. Hello, Retro Queen Bee. Good to see you. I forgot your name. Hi, Mary McCauley. Good to see you. Okay. Anybody have any questions about anything? If not, we'll see what we can do here. I'm going to try this pincushion. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll wish it did. If it doesn't turn out the way I want it, then what we'll do is it will just make something else out of it. Anyway, let's try it and see what happens. I have not made a sample, so we are going to do this together. It's either going to work or it's not. Right? Okay. So this is an antique spoon, vintage spoon. Vicky. Okay, I'll try to remember that. You might have to remind me again, Vicky. Thanks, Peggy. Okay, this came from this company, Muppin. It's a vintage spoon pincushion. Fiber Art and Quilting by Cheryl Whitehead. I'm not sure how you say her name. I'm guessing a little bit. I did meet her. And so this is where I got it. There was directions in it. There was a spoon in it. And I asked her if she minded if I showed you what I did, and she said no. And so we're gonna do this together and see what happens, okay? Now, in this kit, there was a piece of fabric, there was the pattern, and there was also a piece of like a little crocheted doodad. I don't know what this is. It looks like it's hand crocheted. It's very nicely done. But it doesn't seem to me like it's quite big enough for this spoon. I mean, it might be. Anyway, I thought I might not use this. I might use this on a smaller spoon and use some other laces and things that I brought in here with me. So in the pattern, I looked at this and I thought, that seems awfully big for this spoon. And it's not big enough for the piece of fabric that was included in the kit. Okay, so this is going all the way to the edge, and even if I turn it diagonally, it's not quite big enough. So I scanned this into my computer so I could resize it easily. And I sized it down to 85% of the original. And I think this is a better size for this. Still seems like it might be kind of big, but you know what? We're going to go with it and we're going to see what happens. Okay? We're just going to see what happens. An elf with a really long neck. I know, he did have a long neck, didn't he? He's pretty cute, though. I like him. Okay, so this is 85% of the original. And I could put it on the straight grain, or I could put it on an angle. It doesn't really, I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot. So I think what we're going to do is just cut it out. I'd finally decided that it really didn't make any difference whether this went really well or not, because it's only a little scrap of paper, fabric. And Lord knows I have plenty of fabric. This is not your ideal way of cutting out a pattern, to hold it in your hand. But you know what? We're going to do it anyway. So I'm just going to hang on to it here. Now, if you want to get real fancy, you could put crushed walnut shells in your pincushion, which I have done in other pincushions. It also helps to weight the pincushion. I think for the purposes of this tonight, I think we're just going to stuff it with polyester stuffing. Because I have a feeling this is going to be more of a decorative pincushion for me than a, useful useful pincushion. But who knows? Okay, so in my sewing basket here, I have beading thread, which is a pretty good strong thread. I have scissors, and I have some needles in my pincushion. I love this little pincushion. It's one my mom and dad brought me from when they were in Holland one time, and I think that is the sweetest little pincushion. I do like it very much, and so I'm just going to get a little thimble, and we're going to gather up. Run a gathering thread around the edge. Around the edge of our fabric, our oval, okay? And let's see what happens. So this weekend was our family Christmas with Elton's family. They have it every year. And it was a lot of fun. It was a pajama party. And even though I had the best of intentions of getting lace sewn around the bottom of the pant legs, I didn't get it done, because we ended up trying to assemble the gift bags and make the sweet petals and everything else. So we didn't get to bed until 12:30 the next Saturday morning. And so something had to go. And so even as quick and easy as it would have been to put lace around the bottom of the flannel pajama legs, I opted not to. I just thought, no, I just think this is going to just not be what I'm going to do. So I didn't. But we did get 2 pans of sweet petals done. We got all of the gift bags done. So we did get a lot done. And we got there almost on time. We were a little bit, there were still people that arrived after we did. But it was really fun because everybody, I think there were only like 4 people out of this really big group that did not wear pajamas. I mean, there were a couple of them there that were in nightgowns, like flannel nightgowns. They were women. Just saying. I wouldn't have put it past Elton to do that, but he didn't because he didn't have one. And so it was a lot of fun to see all the different pajama things that people brought. And I think it took everybody, it removed all the not that his family is stuffy, because they're not, but it removed all of the tension. No, not tension. What? The feeling like you got to wear something really nice because after all it's a Christmas party. It took that away. So it was pretty fun. And that little pincushion cute, Rhonda? This one, it's so sweet. There's a lady that I watch from Australia, which, by the way, our hearts go out to the people in Australia for the insanity that occurred there this weekend. Anyway, her name is Jennifer Clouston, and she has written several books on embroidery, free form embroidery. I really enjoy her style a lot. And she has lots of these little pin cushions like this. Not wooden ones. Most of them are like pewter or some sort of metal. And they are just adorable. She has a little elephant and a little bird. And I don't know. She has several. She showed a bunch of her pin cushions one day she's on YouTube. And she showed a bunch of her pin cushions one day. Oh, she had some really neat ones. And apparently I collect pin cushions. I didn't know this about me, but when I started that and needle books, I started looking at my pin cushions and my needle books one day, and I went, apparently I collect these. It's funny how you can start a collection and you didn't even realize that that's what you were doing. Anyway, check her out, Jennifer Clouston. It's spelled like Houston, Texas, and pronounced Clouston. When you just look at the word, it looks like you should pronounce it Clouston. But then Houston, Texas looks like you should pronounce it Houston. So there you go. Miniature anything's cute. It is true. You tried having a pajama party one Christmas and it didn't work. Well, who knew whether this one was going to work for this group? And it worked really well. Everybody was very relaxed and, it went really well. Lots of really good food. And, it was really cool. It was great. We had a good time. Okay. All right, so I have just done a running stitch all the way around this little oval of fabric, which I think is linen, but I'm not totally sure. And so what I'm going to do now is, let's pull this thread. I'm going to pull it from both ends to gather it up. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do before I stuff it is I'm just going to kind of gather it up like this, because I just want to have a little test fit for this spoon just to see whether it's gonna, looks like it's gonna work or not. Let's see. I think it's gonna work okay. And this is 85% size, 85% of the original pattern. So I think that's gonna work actually. You make it. Yeah, Rhonda thought it was a great idea, and maybe some other people didn't agree. Oh well, there you go. Okay, so I have polyester filling stuffing like you'd put in a stuffed animal or a pillow. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff this little thing, and we're going to try to stuff it fairly hard, fairly full, which is a sometimes it's a bit of a trick, but we're gonna go for it and see if we can see if we can make it happen. So anyway, that was really fun to go to the party, but I'm telling you, as soon as the party, his Christmas family party was over, then we went to his daughter's house, who lives in the same area, and we had Christmas with his kids, because all three of his kids were in town. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to wind the threads around my finger. See that? And hold on to them. And I'm going to, with one hand, I'm going to try to keep stuffing into this little shape. I used to do lots of cloth dolls, and so I'm used to stuffing things. But I'm not used to having this big an opening to put stuffing into. So, and I am used to stuffing things very firmly with stuffing, but not usually just one-handed. So this could be a bit of a trick. Yeah. So Elton and his brother, who just turned 82, and his younger brother, who is 11 years, I think he's 11 years younger than Elton. The three guys were at this party, and they have one sister, and she was there. She's a year older than me. And so all of them were still going strong and celebrated together. And a lot of the kids were there. All of Elton's three kids were there, and his granddaughter. And she's now 15. And then there were quite a few younger kids, because now they're on to the third generation, so you got kids with kids. And yeah, it was a lot of people, and it was cold out, but that did not stop the kids from going outside and having a good time. They're probably all sick now. Imagine they are all sick now. And then the thing is, they'll share their sickness. They will share their sickness with all the older people, right? Because that's how they do. They bless all the adults with whatever creepy crawly germs they have. And little Sutter was there. He's the little guy who is from Serbia, who was adopted by his forever family of 6 other siblings. And Sutter was born with Down syndrome, and they think he was probably born with autism as well. Okay, I'm gonna cram the rest of this stuffing into this space here, but I've got to give myself, I'm starting to rip out some of the fabric, so I'm gonna have to start closing this stuffing wound up a little bit. So here's what we're gonna do. If I had another hand, it would be so nice, but there isn't anybody else here, so it's just me. So we're going to have to see if we can maneuver this. And of course, this polyester stuffing is very springy, so it does not want to be put in this little space. So you guys talk amongst yourselves while you watch me struggle with this stuffing and trying to tie this closed. Okay. Once you can get it to hold, then you can get a needle threaded and you can start closing things up and stuffing a little more stuffing into it. Okay. So again, I'm going to just test my spoon here. Okay, I think it's going to work. Okay, so anyway, I'm just rambling while I do this, so let me get my needle threaded again. Not just a regular needle. Here we go. I think I'm going to use this with a fresh piece of thread. Oh, that was nice, Vicki. Thank you. That was very sweet. Okay, so let's come through this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, and I'm going to try my best to keep it under the camera so you can watch. So the thread has pulled out of this little section here, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to, because this is all going to get hidden anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. I'm going to take some stitches over here, hold this, get this thread anchored, okay? All right. Then I'm going to come and pick up all of this section. It did say in the instructions to turn the edge under and before gathering it, which I didn't do. And that probably would have been a good idea. But that's not what I did, so there you go. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and just kind of pull that. Okay, that'll work. Okay. So I'm going to come around here again. I'm just going to take some big stitches as I go around. And this is just going to act like a securing, kind of reinforcing stitch as we go around here. So anyway, by the time we got home, it wasn't real super late, fortunately, but I'm telling you, we don't generally stop and drink coffee real late because that tends to make us not sleep. But I'm telling you, we had to do that because as we were driving home, and I was like, oh man, we got to get some coffee or something to keep us alert and together as we're going home, because oh my goodness, we were both whipped by the time we got home. And then the cats wanted to come in because they'd been alone all day and it was nice and cold. They wanted to come in and have some house time. And so they did. They came in and they snuggled, and boy, they went so sound asleep. You know, when cats have been outside in the cold and then they come in, they're just like, oh, this is wonderful. And they were kind of like that. So we stayed up for a while just trying to give everybody their just time. Okay, let's put a little more stuffing in here. This is a pair of hemostats. This is one of my best doll making tools. These are actually hemostats that I bought years ago. Normally there's a clamp down here, but one of my doll making friends, her husband would cut these clamps off. And so they work really well for adding stuffing into small places. And so because you can grab the stuffing and you can also direct it where you want it to go. I use the points of the hemostats like this, as opposed to a lot of people stuff with a wooden dowel that's been sharpened or a knitting needle. I don't find that works well for me, so I don't use that. I much prefer to work with the hemostats, and I have them in all different sizes because I used to make dolls in all different sizes, including life-size dolls. I didn't do very many of those, but I did some. And the hemostats really help. Okay, so I'm just going to get over here where I've kind of connected. I've made it all the way around a couple times. By the time I cinch this up, it's pretty stiff. Okay, so I'm going to go around this maybe one more time, and then I will, at some point here, I will do some crisscross threads. And stuffing is kind of like, if you use your imagination, it's kind of like clay in that it is moldable. Now, polyester stuffing is very springy, and it wants to spring back and go back into its great giant shape in the great big huge plastic bag or box that it came out of. So it does not like if I let go of this, do you see how it starts breathing? Which I have to tell you, I've told this story before, but I'm sure some of you don't mind if I tell it again. My mom and dad used to stuff pillows for a children's hospital here in the town where I live. Some of the people we had a sewing club at one of the sewing machine dealers, and the sewing club, we were asked by a local children's part of the children's wing, the part that treats really serious diseases in children. And they asked us if we would make pillows for them because they like to hand out pillows to all the kids when they would come to the hospitals, because sometimes those kids would come for multiple treatments and would be in the hospital, multiple times in a year, or their treatment plan was often caused them to be in the hospital for many times, whether it was for an extended period, an extended stay for treatment, or if it just required them to come back to the hospital multiple times. Anyway, they liked to give the kids pillows every time they came, because it was something for the kids to look forward to. And so the sewing club I was part of would make the pillowcases. And then I would take the pillowcases to my parents, and my dad would stuff them, and my mom would sew the stuffing area. The stuffing, we called it the stuffing wound. She would sew the stuffing wound closed. Okay, I'm just about back over here where these other gathering threads are. So I have stitched around this opening of this oval several times. So now what I'm going to do here for a second, and then I'll tell you more about the story of them stuffing. I'm going to just unthread my needle here. And I am going to tie this closed. So I will have anchored these threads to each other. So I'm going to give it another knot, like so. Okay, now I'm going to cut this thread, leave a tail, and then the other one, which is the fresher thread, I wasn't putting quite as much stress and strain on this one. I'm going to rethread the needle, and then I'm going to stitch back and forth across this stuffing area. But it's fairly firm, so that's good. We're getting there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch back and forth across this. And I don't have an exceedingly long thread here, so we're going to hope that it hangs in here. While I do this, I'll finish telling you the story. So, anyway, my dad was, these were all volunteers that made the pillowcases. And my dad would get pretty annoyed if the opening where the stuffing went, if it wasn't just, if it wasn't the right size, because his hands were kind of big. If it wasn't the right size, he would get upset because he couldn't get his hand in the opening of the pillow very well, and he'd get upset about that, and he'd kind of complain a little bit about how come these people didn't make these pillow openings for the stuffing better. I'm like, Dad, man, these are volunteers. These are people they're just doing the best they can, Dad. And but he'd get frustrated because his hand couldn't go in, and Mom would have to open up the stuffing area a little bit, and then he was happier. And okay. All right. That one, this thread is too short, so I'm going to knot this off again. And then we're going to get a fresh piece of thread, and we're going to carry on stitching here. So anyway, they stuffed, between my mom and Dad, it's fair to say, probably 1,000 pillows. I mean, they stuffed a lot of pillows, and they originally started out with, the hospital requested a certain size pillows, and that went away real fast. because people were just using what they had. And so we had large pillows, small pillows. We had all different sizes of pillows, and we put them in once they were done. So they were stuffed and sewn closed. Then they would put them in a trash bag, and then I would deliver the trash bags of pillows to the hospital, or to the woman that was taking them to the hospital. And then they did that for a long time. And then my dad passed away. And so my mom then had to do both jobs because she'd been the sewer. So she had to do both jobs. And so she not only stuffed the pillowcases to make them into pillows, but then she had to sew them closed. Okay, well, I'm buying the stuffing for them. And so I was buying the stuffing in 5-pound boxes, 5 pounds at a time. And I'm always thinking, well, this box of stuffing is going to last them for a long time. Nope, no, it didn't. So I got to where I was buying 2 boxes of stuffing at a time. So 10 pounds of stuffing. And so I'm thinking that'll last. Well, it did a little bit better than the 1 box, of course. Well, then, because this was back when I had my doll pattern business, cloth doll pattern business. And so some of my friends in the industry were buying very large quantities of stuffing. And so I'm thinking, if I could do that, if I could just buy a big quantity of stuffing, this is my thinking, then I won't have to go to the store so often to buy stuffing. So I found out about this company. I've forgotten the name of it now. But anyway, I ordered, I don't know if it was 25 or 30 pounds of stuffing. Well, I didn't know how it would come. I was thinking it was like 5-pound boxes, And nope. One day I came home. I'd been someplace. By this point, my mom's living with me. And so I'd ordered this giant thing of stuffing, but I'm thinking it's going to come in several boxes. I come home one day, and on the front porch of my house is a very large box. And I'm wondering, what in the world is this? I mean, it was very large and very awkward. Big box. I'm like, what in the world is that? I'm thinking it's something that Claus Man had ordered for his in the business, right? Nope. It was from this company, the stuffing company. And so I'm thinking, and now it wasn't super heavy, but it was so awkward. I'm like, okay. So the next decision is where to put this box of stuffing, because I'm going to have to see how it's packaged, because this was a fairly good sized box. Like, it's as tall as me, which granted I'm not hugely tall, but I'm almost 5'5". And so I'm just going to take this box of stuffing up in my house into my office where I pay bills and stuff. I have file cabinets and all that kind of stuff, because I was taking care of the books for the business. So I take it up there, haul it up the steps. It was just awkward. It wasn't huge, but it wasn't heavy, but it was just so awkward. Get it upstairs. And so I thought, okay, well, I probably better open this up and see what's in it. How is this packaged? So I get out my handy dandy box cutter and I open the box. and the stuffing is packaged in a big plastic bag, and it's just one thing of stuffing. And I'm like, okay, wonder how this is going to work. So this person that had recommended this stuffing company to me, we hadn't discussed how the stuffing came or anything, right? Okay, we'll get back to that in a minute. Let's look at this for a second. Okay, here's our little pincushion, which I have stuffed back and forth. I've stitched it, and I've gone around it a total of, I guess, 3 times just to make sure that it was gathered around the opening of this oval. So I've just gone around it, and it's pretty tough, pretty dense. It's good. I don't think it really needed to have the crushed walnut shells in it, so I think that's okay. All right. And by golly, that is going to fit. That's going to work. Okay. Okay, that is just about the perfect size for this spoon to go in here. So 85% size, 85% of the original pattern was just about the right size for this. That's good. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take Beacon 3-in-1. The instructions say to use hot glue, and I am here to tell you I don't like hot glue. I never have liked hot glue. I still don't like hot glue. I probably never will like it. Not my thing. But this said to use hot glue. Okay, metal and hot glue don't work real well together either. You will burn. If you think hot glue will burn you, you put it on a metal surface and see how fast it will burn you. Okay, so what I'm using is Beacon 3-in-1. That's what I've got. Okay, so I've slathered in some Beacon 3-in-1 in the bowl of this spoon. And we're going to put this in here, like so. And then while I continue talking to you, I am going to hold this in here, and we're going to talk. We're going to talk while I hold this and hope that it clamps and dries. Okay? Hey, Brenda. Okay, so we're going to just put this in here because this is my version of hot glue, this stuff. It sticks pretty fast, and it does say it will stick. It will bond metal. So anyway, here we go. Okay, so the stuffing is now in my office. Okay, I now have this giant box of stuffing. I've opened the box. So now I have to wrangle this stupid box, huge box, because it was bigger than even what it needed to be. So I have to wrangle the box, the empty box, tear it down, wrangle it back downstairs, figure out what to do with all the cardboard. And now I have this thing of stuffing, which is a big cylinder, basically, of stuffing that's in my office covered in plastic. And it was tight. The plastic was tight on this stuffing. I'm like, all right, well, and my mom was ready for more stuffing to stuff pillows. So I thought, okay, I had saved one of the 5-pound boxes, and so I thought, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out the stuffing, and I'm going to pull it apart, and I'm going to stuff her box of 5 pounds of stuffing box. I'm going to stuff it full of stuffing, and then I'm going to take it to her, and then she'll have a fresh supply of stuffing. Okay? Makes perfect sense. So I open the plastic, and as soon as I make the first partial slit, the stuffing begins to go like this. I mean, it was like some weird monster, started taking on air because they have sucked all the air out of this, like they do those vacuum seal bags, you know, that you see on TV and stuff. And they have sucked all the air out of this stuffing. And so it now starts to breathe, the stuffing does. And I'm like, whoa, this is going to be interesting. So I take the plastic the rest of the way, because I mean it was getting out of control quick. So I just get the plastic off of it. So now the stuffing is free to do whatever it's going to do. And it is breathing, like taking on air, like literally some kind of monster. This wad of stuffing, as it turns out, it's like a sheet of stuffing, but it's not like batting. Okay, it is stuffing just like this, except that they have somehow spread it out and they've wound it up, and then they've sucked all the air out of it, put plastic around it, found a sucker to buy it, me, and sent it, put it in a box and sent it. And apparently they sold this stuff in this configuration. It was good stuffing to a lot of people. Anyway, that stuffing, I got enough off of it to stuff the box for my mom, took it to her so she could keep working on the pillows. And then every few hours I'd go look at it, and the stuff was still growing and breathing. I'm like, I hope I can get in this room by the time it stops taking on air, because I need to come in here and work. Oh, my land, I'm telling you. Before it was over with, that roll of stuffing had expanded to half. It took up half the floor space of my office, which was a bedroom. It just kept taking on air, and it just kept growing, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and I was like, holy moly, this is crazy. Anyway, yeah, we did that once, and we never did do that again. I decided that 5-pound boxes of stuffing weren't nearly as hard to handle as I thought they were. Yeah, not nearly as hard. It's one of the delights from my doll making adventurous days, except this had nothing to do with doll making. It had everything to do with keeping my mom happy and keeping her embroiled in, yeah. So if you're ever tempted to buy a large quantity of stuffing because it's a really good deal, just know that you need to have a space big enough for it to grow. I think it was about 30 pounds, but it expanded to way more than what I thought it would be. Hey, Miss Allie K. It was crazy. Okay, so looking at this now that we have our pincushion gathered up, okay, so it's gathered and it's in the bowl of the spoon, and I don't think it's going to come out anytime soon, which is good. I do think that it needs to have something that comes around the outside of the spoon like this, like around the bottom of the spoon. And I guess that is what the purpose of this little crocheted piece is. If I had a small doily, and I do have some, I just don't know where they are. If I had a small doily, I would probably use that, but we're going to make do with this. Okay, we're going to use this. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on this doily. Okay, I want to see if there's a right side or a wrong side. I don't think it really matters. That's okay. Doesn't really matter. All right, we're going to put a little bit of this 3-in-1 Beacon 3-in-1 glue just to help kind of tack this to the spoon. Okay, I'm making this up as we go along, folks. I truly am. So we're going to put this on the back of this spoon like so. Because what I'm going to try to do here is to pull this up and do some hand stitching to attach that to the pin cushion. And the place where it maybe won't, like here, you can't, that won't go around the handle of the spoon. I'll probably tack it with just a little bit of glue there. But I think that that's going to work. Okay. So the glue will help hold it, and yet you can still see the spoon through, sorry about that, through the holes of the little crocheted piece. Okay, I think it might actually help if I put a little bit of this glue on this thing right here. Okay. And just attach that one little section there of the doily to the handle of the spoon. But my glue is kind of like that stuffing. It was, you know how it will just keep bubbling out until the air gets into the bottle. It was gonna do that. Okay, so this is glued here, and this is glued right here, but you can't see it. So that's good. I hope this is not a valuable spoon. If it is, if it's a valuable spoon, oh well. Okay, so we're going to make this up a little bit more as we go along. So we're going to use this needle. This is regular sewing thread. If I had my, I don't think I have my light colored beading thread in here. In fact, I'm sure I don't. So we're gonna make do with regular. This is a polyester sewing thread, so we're gonna make do with that. George Washington ate from this spoon. That's all right. He didn't have any teeth, so it's okay. It was valuable at one time. It just isn't valuable now. Okay. So I'm just going to thread up this needle. I am going to run it through, if I have my beeswax here, I'm going to run it through some beeswax. And if I don't have the beeswax here, I'll use thread. Here it is. I'm just going to run it through some beeswax to kind of strengthen, hopefully strengthen this thread a little bit. And also keep it from tangling. So this is how beeswax, one of the ways beeswax comes. Now, a friend of mine a long time ago told me that the way you wanted to do beeswax with thread is you really wanted to iron this so that the beeswax penetrated the thread. And you know what? I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to do it the way you're supposed to do it. All right. Knot the thread with a nice big knot. This would be a great place right here to do some embroidery. I'm not going to, but it would be a great place to do it. And in the instructions, she talked about doing like embroidering like an initial on the bowl of the spoon like that, and doing it before she created the pincushion. I just don't know how you can do that and get it, you know, really centered on the bowl of your spoon. But maybe one of you guys who are better than I am could do that. Yes, iron the thread, and that would make sure that beeswax impregnated into the thread. But I'm not going to do that. So there you go. I mean, it does make some sense, but I'm not going to do it. It would really be pretty if it was embroidered on there. Okay. All right, let's come over here. I'm going to attempt to bury my knot. I don't think I want to do it that way. I think I want to come from this side. I'm trying to get it down here where the knot hopefully will be hidden. I think it will be in time. Okay, so I've come across, and now I'm going to come out and pick up the crocheted piece. All right, we'll just see how this goes, because, you know, usually I have to do something more than once, or at least once, to figure out how it should have been done. So you're getting to see it here with me. Okay, the handle's in the way. All right. So I'm going to take a stitch in my pincushion. Okay, I think it's going to work. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm going out into this little crocheted doodad. I want to call it a doily, but it's so tiny that I don't know what you'd call it. You guys know what you'd call it? Anyway, I'm picking up, doing a stitch in and out of the doily. We'll call it a doily. And then I'm going to see where it's landing up here against the pincushion. And then I'm going to come straight up, so it's almost like a ladder stitch. I'm going to take a stitch in the pincushion up there, right beside kind of where that's going to pull up there. And then I'm going to tighten that up. See what it's doing? Okay, I think it's going to work. All right, we're going to do the same thing. So I may distort this little doily thing a little bit, but I don't know. It was in a kit, so who cares, right? So I've gone in and out of that little doily. Then I'm going to come up and I'm going to pick up the next the next little part of the pincushion. Okay. All right, you guys, let's see. What do you think? I think it may work. Now, if Dorothy's not asleep, she's probably going to tell me I'm doing it the wrong way, because Dorothy is our hand stitcher extraordinaire. Okay, then we're going to come up and get the next stitch. This is not quick work, you guys. This is not fast. You got to keep the thread from wrapping around the handle of the spoon. Okay. So you see what it's going to do? Hopefully it's going to cup up here. This is my goal, to have it cup up here around the edge of the spoon, and let this little doily thing kind of trim out this pincushion, the edge of it. That's my goal. Now, I brought all the rest of this stuff in here tonight. I brought a whole thing of different sizes of rickrack. I have a little tiny rickrack. I have little tiny rickrack. I have big rickrack. I have jumbo rickrack somewhere. Anyway, so I have all this rickrack. I have all of this trim. I thought this might be something that might be usable here. And I still might do something with this, like to add a little, one of these little flowers or something on here. I may do that. Anyway, I brought all this stuff in here with me because I'm thinking, oh Lord, who knows how this is going to work. It looks okay to you, Dorothy? Oh, I feel so good. I feel so, thank you, Dorothy. Okay, see, that's one way to find out if Dorothy's still awake. Dorothy is Pandora. Okay, so we'll worry about embellishing it later. But first thing we got to do, I think, is just construct the thing. So, now the pincushion itself is already constructed. So this is, because I'm just using a polyester sewing thread, I don't really have to stress out over, there's not stress on the thread, in other words, because I'm just holding it. This is just for decoration, in other words. Okay, so we have that. So this little part of this is going to kind of come up here. So I think what I'm going to do is let this be loose, but I'll stitch here and then back down and back up. I think that's what I want to do. All right, we'll find out. We'll find out if this works. This is not fast work. Oop. Okay. So in and out of this little doily doohickey. And then back up to take a stitch in the pincushion. I normally don't mind doing stuff like this, figuring things out. But I generally have it figured out before I ever turn the camera on. But, things have just been so hectic, shall we say, that I haven't done that. I haven't figured it out ahead of time. It's 1:30 a.m. and Dorothy is still here. Girl, I'll tell you what. All right, now I'm going to take a back stitch here, which means I'm going to, literally what it says, I'm going to stitch backwards. One stitch. So I'm going to retrace my step here just a little bit. And that's just going to help anchor this and keep it, hopefully, from, if anything came apart, it can only come apart just so far, because I've added an extra little stitch there. Okay, and then back, out. Okay, and then I'm going to go down. See, this little thing is kind of a V shape, so I'm going to come back down, trying to stay fairly close to that V. So I'm in the pincushion, and now I'm going to be in the doily. So a stitch in the doily and then back into the pin cushion. I don't know. I think this is kind of cute. What do you guys think? This is kind of an ugly color. But I think if I put maybe did a little embroidery stitch on it, I don't know. I don't know. I may not do anything other than just stick something that's already done on it. I think it's kind of neat though. All right, I'm gonna come. Trying to keep it on camera. I'm zoomed in so close it's real easy to get off the camera. Yeah, I think something that's colorful would be really pretty on it. The problem, as I'm thinking through this, because I actually, you know what I do, I work out a lot of stuff in my sleep, you know. I don't know if any of you guys do that or not. Come across all the way to there. Okay. But I know my mind just never, I guess, never stops. I don't know. Anyway, I'll wake up in the morning sometimes and go, oh yeah, that's how to do that thing. So I've been thinking about this crazy pincushion, making this for weeks. I mean, literally, I've been thinking about it for weeks, about how I was going to construct it. And did I want to do one ahead of time because I had some extra spoons. Now I have a knot in the thread. Okay, let's see if we can get this knot to come out. There we go. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thread. See, I have these other spoons that I had, so I have some other, they're smaller, but I think they're really cute, old spoons. And so I thought I might make pincushions with those. I thought, well, I'll try those out. And then I thought, you know, I think it would be nice to have some embroidery or something on them. And then I'm thinking, how am I going to hide the knots from the embroidery threads? That was my current issue. I still haven't quite got that sorted out yet. I think I can do it, but I haven't quite got it in my head straight. I'd wake up and still be thinking about this silly pincushion and what I was going to do with it. And finally tonight I thought, you just got to stop thinking about it. You just got to do it, girl. You just got to do it. So you know what? That's what we're doing. We're just doing it. All right, I'm going to do another little back stitch here. So I'm going to go backwards. Man, it got cold here this weekend. Holy moly, it got cold. It was 11 or 12 degrees the other night when we were driving home. Ugh, that is cold. I don't know what that is in Celsius. But it was cold. Somebody can tell me what that is in Celsius. Like minus 10 degrees. What is that in Celsius? The other thing I think that would be kind of cute with this would be to have, I have some neat little buttons. I could sew, I don't know, that might not work. I think embroidery would be easier. I think embroidery would be easier to manage than trying to sew a button on with holes in it that you got to go through. Yeah, buttons, the buttons would have to glue on, not stitch on. You'd have to put the thread through the holes of the button so it looked like you had stitched the button, and then you'd have to glue it on. That's how that would have to work. Because I don't think there's any way I could do that. Anyway, see what happens? I start extrapolating out all the possibilities. Then I just get myself all confounded. exposed, and yep. So that's why I'm just working it out with you live on camera, because why not? Okay, so you see how slow this is, but I think it's going to be kind of cute. Yeah, I think it might be kind of cute, but I think it might be cute also. See, I have all these trims. It's awfully white, though. This one is awfully white. I may have another one that is a creamier color. I'll have to look. But something like that could be added, you know, or could be added around here. But that's part of what I saw. There were some people online that were, there weren't very many people making these pin cushions out of spoons because I searched. But the ones I saw, they did, you know, they added lots of trims and stuff around them. I think that might be kind of nice. I don't know. Anyway, I need to leave that alone and stick to the job at hand, which is to sew this on. What'd Rhonda say? Well, that's what she said in the instructions. She said that, you know, you should embroider it first. But you saw how I struggled to make this pincushion because I didn't know if it was going to be the right size or not. I would hate to go through all the work of the embroidery on it and then have it not be the right size. So that was why I chose not to do that. Anyway, but I think it's possible that you could. Anyway. Okay, so I'm ready for the next stitch. Okay. All right. Sorry, I lost my place for a moment. I lost my train of thought because I got all wound up in going on to the next thing, and I'm not there. That is part and parcel of the way my mind works, and that is I want to see the thing finished, and I like to work out the issues, which is why I like to stream and I like to teach classes and stuff like that. I like to work out the process, and I like to work out the potential problems and how does that work and how can I show somebody else how to do it. Okay? The problem I run into is that once I have figured out how it's going to go, how the thing is going to finish, then I'm pretty much done because I can see it finished in my mind. And so I've done the hard part, the thinking part, and once I've figured out and problem solved my way through it, then I'm kind of like over it and ready to go on to the next new problem. I don't know. Are any of you like that? Now, seems like there are a couple of kinds of people. People like me who just like to sort out the problem and figure out how to make it work. And then there's the kind of people who want to see it all the way through to completion. I don't need to see it all the way through to completion because all I wanted to do was to figure it out and have it in my head so that I could see in my mind how it was going to finish. You know, that's good enough for me. I don't need the finish, which is exactly why I have this whole tub full of almost finished things. Okay, so I'm going to let this kind of hang out up there. Yeah. I'm trying to get this where it's going to be kind of even here. I need a pin. Oh, I've got a pin in my little tiny pin cushion. Okay, let's see if we can make this kind of even here. Okay, that looks like it's kind of even there. That's probably going to need a little bit of glue on it to make sure that doesn't unravel. Anyway, okay, questions. Oh, any questions? Wind chill here was minus 10, 23, minus 23 in Celsius. So negative 10 is, negative 10 Fahrenheit is 20. Yes, it was a kit. It was in this, it was vintage spoon pincushion. This was the company Muppin. It's from Muppin.com. She's in Paducah, Kentucky. Okay. From Muppin's Sewing Emporium. That's where it was. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. All right, where am I? I just got to see where I am. I am in... Okay, I have taken a stitch backwards. I took a back stitch. I shouldn't take a back stitch and then stop. I should... You need to have a system when you embroider so that you know. It's kind of like some other needle art types of things, or loom work is one of those things where you got to have the spot where you know you're going to stop, and always be consistent with that, because if you don't, you get yourself confused about, I don't know where I am in the world. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, so we'll take that pin out and come back through this doily. Okay. We're halfway done, you guys. We're half. It's only 7:38. Okay, so we're going to grab the pin cushion here. It's a good thing I don't do things like this all the time. I would never have an audience watch. Okay, so this is going to go through this little thing here. I really am trying to keep it on the screen. When you zoom in really tight, it's hard to keep the thing you're doing under the camera. Okay. But tacking that doily down to begin with, tacking that down with a little bit of the 3-in-1 glue, that was a good move on my part. Okay. All right. It's looking pretty good. All right, I'm going to take another little back stitch here. I am so tense. I know you guys can't think that I am very tense doing this, but I am in such an awkward position of sitting here and feeling tense that when I get done with this, I hope I can move. I hope my body will still move. Do you think it will? What would you guys like to do on Friday, by the way? I am going to stream on Friday. It needs to be something kind of easy to do. You have any suggestions, anything you'd like to see me do? Stick them in the chat if you would, or in the comments. Because that will be my last stream until in the new year. Okay. I think it's looking pretty good, I think. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. We're gonna go up this little V shape here. A simple ornament. What kind of ornament would you like me to do? I have done loads of ornaments in my life. Painted, stitched, pieced, hand pieced, paper. I have done loads of ornaments. I don't mind doing one I've done before. Surely we can come up with something. Okay. We're in the home stretch. We're in the home stretch here. Okay, how far did I go? Clear through that little thing. Okay. We're going to come back here one more time and pick up. If the thread blends, if the color of the thread blends enough with your little doily, then you can backtrack and pick up things if you need to. If something isn't sitting just exactly the way you wanted it to, it's pretty easy to just kind of stitch back a little bit, because the thread, I mean, this thread is like the perfect match for this doily dealy bopper. Okay. All right, let's see if we can. Okay, so I think it's coming along okay for a hand crocheted doily. I think it's not doing too badly here. Everything's a little squirrely. The pin cushion is a little squirrely. The doily's a little squirrely. Okay, we want to pull this up here. Okay, this needs to pull up a little bit. I'm just trying to kind of reshape things here just to see if we can put a pin in there to hold it. Okay, that's... Whew! Okay, we're almost there. I'll have to look through the ornaments that I've done. We'll see what we can do. That would be something that would be fun to do. Okay. Okay, so this needs to come back through the doily and pick up our pin cushion. Okay, there we go. Okay, then we're going to come back through our little doily bit. Oh, I bet your guys are having a good time watching this. Okay, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a back stitch here. Again, that's just helping to make sure that if the thread comes loose at some point, You can only come out a few stitches before it gets caught. Okay, there we go. All right, now we're gonna do, I think I might be able to go through the doily and the pincushion all in one stitch. All right, that makes life easier and quicker. Okay, let's take this pin out before I stab myself too many times. And let's go back through the doily. I'm going to come back up here. I'm having to make sure that I don't get the thread caught on the points of the sections of this little doily. That's why it's taken me. That's why it's causing me to have to move a little slowly. That, and I don't know what I'm doing, are the two reasons I'm having to go a little bit slow. You're doing art while you listen. Bless your heart. Miss Allie K, did you get through school? I haven't caught up with you and what's going on in your life for a long time. I hope you're doing okay. Okay. Oop. Keeps wanting to get caught around things, so it's kind of like embroidery. You kind of get caught on things. You just kind of got to work your way. But I haven't stabbed myself too many times, so that's good. Okay. Oh, we're almost done. This is good. I think it's going to be cute. But I do think it needs more trims and some embroidery on the top. Just a little bit, just to embellish it a little bit. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. I don't know if I can do a back stitch here. The handle of the spoon gets in the way. It's probably the last back stitch I'm going to be able to take. Okay. And that just helps secure things also. We're almost there, people. We're almost there. About, I don't know, 2-3 more stitches and we are done. Okay, there's a stitch. And now we're going to come down here and pick up the last little bit of our little doily doohickey. And maybe one more stitch up here in the pin cushion. If my hand is in the way or if something's in the way, I do apologize. I'm doing the very best I can under extraordinary circumstances of not knowing what in the world I'm doing and kind of making it. We're just going to see if we can make it work. Okay, so let's see. Okay, there it is. There it is. All right, let's come down here. We gotta find a spot to knot this off, so I'm gonna take a few little stitches here, and then I'm gonna, oops, well, I didn't mean to pull the thread up that tightly. Seems like we need to do, like I need to attach this up here one more little bit on the other side of the handle of the spoon. Try one more stitch here. I think that looks better. Okay, now I'm ready to knot it off. And then we'll take a look at what we think ought to happen to some trims. All right, one stitch. Now let's do a knot. And run that needle through a bunch of the crochet, and then let's cut the thread and hope that it doesn't fall apart. It shouldn't. Okay, so here is our little let's come out so you can see. Okay, here's our little pincushion. There's from the side, there's from the bottom, there's the other side. So you can see the spoon under there, but it's all encased. So there's glue holding our created pincushion into the bowl of the spoon. So there's glue down there. This glue is what I used. They suggested hot glue. I don't like hot glue, so I'll do anything else first. And then the rest of it is held on with stitching from this little doily thing. So I think it's pretty good shape. I don't know. What do you guys think? You love it? Medical encoding. Okay. Live with your parents. Don't have a job right now because it would be too exhausting. Oh, gotcha. Medical coders can work from home. Yeah. Okay. All right. So there it is. So what do you guys think about putting trim on it? I think that's probably what I'm going to do because I've got a world of this trim, but I have it in different colors, so I'll drag out the different colors of this trim. This trim came from a store where you used to buy stuff by the pound. You used to buy trims by the pound, and it was the craziest place to go. This is another one that's kind of an interesting trim. It blends too much, though. I think it blends too much with that. I think this is more interesting because it's these little flowers. Like I said, I have it in all different colors. But you go in, and there would be these enormous, huge bins and boxes, and they'd give you a pair of scissors when you'd walk in, and a bag, and you could never find the end of the trims, which is why I have, you know, stuff like this. All of this came from that place. So you just look in the trims that you liked, and you just literally grab a handful and take your scissors and, you know, when you found how much you want, and whack it off and stick it in your bag, and then you go to the next one. Well, it's real easy to buy lots and lots of trim when you do that. And then you go pay for it by the pound. A grocery bag full of trim like this might cost $5 or $6. It was insanity. Now, some of it wasn't, you know, once in a while you'd find a flaw in the trim, you know, where somebody had nicked it or whatever, you know, and so you'd find a flaw in it, and you go, oh, I don't know, you know. But for what you paid for it, it was definitely worth what I paid for it, always. And I have been using that trim. I bought fringe. I bought all kinds of trims like these, you know, and I bought this stuff, and I have used it for years and years and years. And I donated a whole bunch of it to Goodwill when I moved. A whole bunch of it that I got rid of and donated to Goodwill. Because it's like, I just, this is my chance to downsize. I just can't take all this stuff with me. Anyway, okay, so let's look at this. So what I'm doing is I'm just testing the idea. So I'm just pinning some of it around the pin cushion. It's very handy that it's a pin cushion, because you can pin stuff into it. That's a really handy thing, isn't it? I'm trying to pin it without stabbing myself. So this would be a little place like that. Okay, so there's one idea. So you could see a little bit of it from the top. Actually, the white color is not bad with the silver of the spoon. That's what it would look like from the side and from the back. It's kind of nice, kind of a nice little trim. I just think it needs a little something else to kind of embellish I don't want to obscure this because I like the way that looks, but I think it would be nice to have a little something around that edge. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think? It is a great place. It really was. It's unfortunately no longer in business. It was, what was the name of that place? Missouri, I don't know. I forgot the name of it. Yeah, I forgot the name of it. But it was a place that lots of costumers would go there because they could buy. I mean, all of this was in those bins. But, you'd end up with a little piece like this because it would be a hunk, where somebody cut it. But you could never find the end of anything. And so you just cut. And once you got used to the idea that you were going to just cut, because at first it was like, I have to find the end. I have to find the end. I can't do this unless I find the end. Then you finally go, oh, never mind about the ends, and just cut. So when I would go there, it was about 40 minutes from where I live. So when I would go there, I would buy, a couple grocery bags full of stuff and then come home, and then I would have to sort it and wind it on, some sort of, like a paper towel roll or something. Or a piece of cardboard or something. Otherwise, you end up like this, So I still have some of these wads of trim. Anyway, it was a fun place to go to. I went there 2 or 3 times before they closed. Dorothy likes it without the trim. The trim is too much. Ruth says the trim is too much. You think the trim is too much? Do you? I don't know. I think it might depend on the color. I don't know if it's too much. Now this is too much. I promise I won't have this on it. I don't know. I kind of like having something that finishes that little edge around there. Of course, we have all this rickrack too. We could use rickrack. Maybe something smaller would suit you all better. What do you think that would be? That would be better if we use little baby rickrack instead. That's an ugly color. This baby rickrack I have, this came from the same place. They had tons of rickrack of all different kinds in this place. Tons. So tiny tiny little baby rickrack, would that be better for you? Look, this costs 25 cents in its original price. 25 cents for 5 yards. So there's tiny little rickrack. Yeah, that's where all this rickrack came from. This, you know, there's this, that matches that. That color, that's not the baby, yeah, it is the baby rickrack. So there's that. So that, all of this came from that same place. Even these that are in this, these little packages came from there. But look how tiny that is. That's teenier than this one. Yep. Then I have this whole package of different rickracks. Yep. I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably have to dream about it for a day or so and have some idea come spiraling, floating up from the deep. I'll figure out what to do. Anyway, hi Mary. Good to see you. Rhonda says she prefers it without the trim. Okay. Yeah, see, it's, I do still have my P.O. box. Yes. Hi, Jean. You like the trim? So it's always good to, you can't find that tiny rickrack anywhere. Well, this came from that place that was, you know, way far away. I mean, used to, as in time, way far away. All right, let me pull this trim off of here and let's just play with the rickrack just for a second. I'm keeping you guys from doing whatever it is you want to do. Yeah, let's just take the trim off. And let's just try it with the rickrack. Let's just put the rickrack on here. Just because the color, I thought the color was good. I think it just needs, a little, some kind of something here. All right. I do think it needs just a little something here because of this. See that ugly space right in there? I don't like the ugly space where the pincushion and the pincushion and the doily kind of don't exactly meet up. So let's just put a little bit of this on here and just take a look. I mean, it may not work, but we're just going to look at it. I mean, it's not, we haven't decided for sure because it's just a little pin. Let's just put on the little pin. It's okay to just look. It's okay to try different things and see what you think. Think that I could pin. There we go. Got enough of this or this rickrack to do a couple of these, at least. All right, this is not my best pinning job in the whole world. Pin's not wanting to cooperate with me. Oh well, good enough. Okay. So there's with the little rickrack around it instead of the bigger trim. The little rickrack around the edge. I don't know. I haven't decided. Who knows what I'll decide. I'll put it together before Friday, I hope. A thin piece of lace. Yeah, it's got to be something that will actually go around the roundness of the pin of the spoon. I mean, this is not little lace that I have here. This is bigger lace. I probably have some smaller laces. I don't know if I have the right color. You'd think I would because I have many supplies. But like there's this lace, which I don't know where the end is on this. I think this is too big. Yeah, see, this is too big. I think it would have to be something that had that scallop on it would be nice, but it'd have to be really tiny. Let's see, if it's straight lace, then it doesn't want to curve around. You know, it doesn't want to cup into the round shape of the bowl of the spoon. So it would have to be something small and probably with a little gather in it. I don't know, you guys. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to play with it. I'll just have to play with it and see what I think. The trim is redder than the rickrack. Yeah, I think I like the little flowery trim a little bit. The rickrack looks too modern. I think you're probably right. Yeah. All right. That is gonna at least we got the pincushion into the bowl of the spoon, and it's pretty firm. Yeah, it's pretty firm. The advantage to a pincushion like this is you can actually use a pincushion like this for a needle, okay? Because there is a bottom to the pincushion. So unless you're using a really short needle, the needle cannot go through the spoon, and so the needle is going to stop. Where if you have a deep pincushion, and I have plenty of those, like I have the chicken pincushions, the little triangular chicken pincushions, which I love. But I'm telling you, you cannot put needles in those, because those needles, if they don't have thread on them, they're going to go straight into that pincushion and they're going to keep on going. And the next thing you know, you have a whole pincushion full of needles. So one that is shallow like this really does work well for using with needles, especially, and also these little teeny ones, those work really well for needles. Because if you have little pincushions like this around, with this one around when you're doing hand stitching, you can, when you take your needle out of your fabric, park it in the pincushion immediately, and that way you don't run the risk of dropping your needle on the floor or letting it be on your work surface or on the couch or something where the needle gets lost, and then you end up with it in your foot or in your pet's foot, and that's never good. So having one that is shallow will work really well for needles and handwork. I love the idea of this spoon. I think it's cool. Anyway, that's it. Why put it on a spoon? You don't have to. It's just something you could do. It looks like a small potato on a spoon. It does. It does. It does look like a little small potato on a spoon. That's why it needs some embroidery. Put a Mr. Potato face on it. Yeah, the fabric, I was not real crazy about the fabric that came with it, but that's what came in the kit. It was a hand-dyed linen or something. It's okay. That is funny, though. That is funny. I had not thought about that, so thank you for pointing that out, because it is that makes me laugh, actually. All right. That's it. I have kept you guys long enough tonight. Thank you for hanging out with me and doing just a silly little project to see how it might work, and it did. It was a bit of a stress there for a little bit, but it worked. I think these would make sweet little pincushions, because look how much difference in size there is for these. All right, do it this way. How much difference there is in the spoon. So much smaller spoon. I think this would be a sweet little pincushion. Anyway, I may do that. I don't know. Who knows? All right. They look a lot cheerier. Yep, but that is not the fabric that I got in my kit. I didn't get the cheerful fabric. I got the potato. I got the potato in my fabric. That's funny. All right, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll be back on Friday. If you are wanting to know my schedule for the holiday, I'm going to give it to you, which is I will be here on Friday. I will not be streaming again until probably the 5th of January. The 5th I'm not positive about, but it's probably going to be the 5th of January. I hope, when I come back. Okay? So I'll be here Friday. You got to work with what you have, Miss Allie K. That is absolutely the truth. All right. With that being said, I have dawdled here long enough. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Until then, remember to get creative today. You know it's easy. And I'll see you before you know it. Bye for now.